Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is Johnboy. I am your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me, as ever, is Bustin' Hoffman.
More like busting off men.
That's good, too.
Whoa, Bustin' Off Men? That comes courtesy Thomas Nowak. He also wanted me to introduce you with the equally as good Sex Dick the Entertainer.
Sex dick.
Sex
good.
Dick, it's here to stay, baby.
Sex dick.
Sex Dick, we've all had it.
Yeah.
We all get it.
Yeah. If you're lucky.
Bedhead and sex dick.
Aaron Joseph Pita.
Dude, that's me guilty as charged, man.
How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Nice.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Now to my straight.
Yes, to my left.
My dead ahead.
I think I'm going to go ahead and bestow Stumblebirds on you. That is George R.R. Fartin, as well as Peggin' the Stallion.
Peggin' the Stallion?
Yeah. That's handsome Matt Brousseau.
Very nice. Very nice.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You look good.
Thank you. I feel good.
I guess Stumblebird gave me one for you, too.
Oh, very nice.
The main character of To Kill a Mockingbird.
This is going to be a reach. You have to premise.
Atta Kid Felch.
Okay. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either, but
Yeah.
not all winners.
No.
But you keep sending them.
Yeah.
Keep throwing them our way. We'll keep saying them out loud, whether they're good or not.
Yep. He did say he'll go jump off a bridge now.
Well, don't do that, Stumblebird.
He has too much content to listen to.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I got to say, over there on the Patreon, folks, you never know what's going to happen.
You don't.
And we do an extra episode per week.
That's true.
A lot of fucking around. Now, one patron came to us. This is Ellen, a.k.a. Goblin Blood.
Sick.
And
Goblin butt, like she's gobbling it, or it's the blood of a goblin.
The blood of a goblin, I believe. She wrote to me, this is not 20 minutes ago.
No.
Oh my God.
This is breaking news.
This is breaking news. She has just shot the
She
president.
said, if you're interested in further updates on Melbourne's ongoing hunt for its seizing sex pest, he's still on the loose and is as brazen and as shaky as ever. Your coverage of him on a Patreon episode got me to sign up, and I've been a happy member since. And so this is from just a few hours ago on the
Melbourne's sex pest.
Yes. This is the subject is thanks for the heads up about seizure guy.
Yeah. You remember Seizure Guy?
Yeah, I think so.
This afternoon, that guy who fakes seizures in order to get men to lie down on him struck again. This time in Carlton.
Struck.
My husband was his target. This is a fucking crazy series of events. My husband was his target, and in the commotion, he happened to pocket dial me.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And I heard what was going on. The guy saying, lie down on my legs. From the pocket, my husband hears me going, that's Seizure Guy!
No way.
Seizure Guy gets up and fucking hightails it.
Shit, I've been made.
Yeah, by his pocket. The legs turned against him.
Oh my God. Good legs versus bad legs.
She goes, I want to say thanks to this subreddit because as soon as I overheard him saying lie down on my legs, I knew what was happening because I'd read about it here.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
She said,
Melbourne sex
also, I just want to spread the word for others. This dude's MO is to lie on the ground pretending to have a seizure, and he asks for men to lie down on him / hold him down. If you try to call for an ambulance, he'll get up and scamper. He does it for sexual gratification. Husband is fine, but I know some of his victims and find it really rough. Yeah. It's awful, and I hope one day there's some form of justice. He's been doing it for ages, but cops didn't seem that fussed. Now, I gotta say, is it that bad?
If it was doing it to women, yes.
This is the greatest thing about him, is that if a woman tries to help, he tells her to leave. He goes, you can go get help.
Yeah.
He goes, you fellas, though, you guys are good and strong.
Heavy.
We
Stay
need the
here
big
and lie
boys.
down on my legs.
I would love it if somebody just like was a EMT or a nurse, or they had like a deathly peanut allergy, so they always had like an EpiPen on them.
Yes.
And for some, or they just fucking jabbed him with it.
Yeah.
Oh God, it would be so great to see him get fucking Pulp Fictioned while trying to sexually gratify himself.
Oh my God.
Body.
Yeah.
Dunk.
And then you'd have to sit on him.
Yeah.
I think though, if I was like one of these guys that was like, what are you doing? He's like, lie on my legs, and I lied on him, and then he's just there for a minute, and somebody came along and was like, hey, this guy does this, he gets off on this. I would be like, oh my God, you nut.
And then he'd said yes.
I don't think I
did.
I don't think I'd be that. Saying victims find it rough.
Yeah, come on,
Come on.
Grow up.
Yeah, like
Just fucking punch the guy.
you thought
Yeah,
you were,
yeah, seriously, just punch the guy.
or
You
like,
get that is like
that's
you
a
get
free-
to punch that
It's
guy.
a free punch, yeah.
yeah.
You get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there's like a thing and this is gonna sound really bad and ignorant and insensitive, but let's go. But like some of that stuff, it's just like it's like part of the thing of like a flasher is like for you to like feel victimized by it.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas if you just point and laugh, it's like, you know what I mean? I think
take
it
away his power.
takes away
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
power. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Part of it is just like the infliction of this thing that's against your will, and it's like just be like, okay, man, what are you coming about this because I laid on your legs?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Did we ever dive into like his psychology, like why?
The seizure guy?
Yeah.
I don't think he's sticking around for interviews.
Well, if you laid on his legs,
he had public medical records. They got
he has a public.
National Health Service.
I don't
Yeah.
think they know who he is. Like, I don't think like, he's got like a fucking fan club or anything.
I think he probably does.
I think it sounds like he's got a fucking lynch mob, if anything.
Yeah.
These people are saying he's been
What's
doing
the
it.
difference?
He's been doing it for ages, and the cops don't seem fucked.
Ages. He's like the Highlander. There's always one.
He struck again.
He's at it again.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen,
He's struck. I mean, he struck again.
yeah.
Like he's a Batman. I mean, he's a Batman villain.
The funniest
villain.
thing is in the older sightings where they say, yeah, he tried it over here, and then like I continued on my hike, and I saw him trying it with other people like a few hundred yards away.
Yeah.
That's fucking good shit. Stay tuned when we do our Patreon. I'm gonna have some more of the seizure guy.
Oh hell yeah.
Good.
Because he's a hero
Yeah.
of ours, I think.
Yeah, Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar, yeah, little seizures.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we're here to finish up this Rocketbelt thing.
Oh boy.
Rocketbelt.
Now we had to do some rescheduling, and Joe K had to work, so he couldn't be here.
Sorry,
But
Joe.
I did give you guys. I did apologize to him.
Thank you.
I did give you guys
Some pages.
some stuff, and we'll catch up with that in a minute. I'll cue you when you come in, of course. Now listen. Do you remember where we got last time? We went through the mythology, and then
The mythology.
the mythology,
History.
yes, the science fiction history, and then and then the
okay,
real
okay.
science history
Uh-huh.
in the military, and then we got into Bill Suter flying in Thunderball and flying at the Olympics,
Yeah.
and then Kenny Gibson, the stuntman, he took
Kenny.
he took over with the Tyler belt. He started going on those Michael Jackson bad tours, and then him and Brad Barker were working on a belt, and Barker left.
Mm-hmm.
And he sought out the guy that had formerly stolen his plane and trafficked drugs with it.
That's Larry Stanley.
That's Larry Stanley.
Okay, yeah.
And he also got together with Joe Wright, who had the car audio place.
That's right. Went from being living in his car to having a car audio empire.
Yeah.
That's right, Aaron.
Mhm. Yeah, and he seemed like a nice guy.
And he was a very nice guy, very popular with everyone.
Probably with me.
But they did say occasionally they would see him getting reamed out very suddenly by that
Seizure guy.
that Brad Barker guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hell.
And
I remember there was some karate involved.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, well that was
the- at
that was
the
when
oil
that was
field.
when they went to Larry Stanley's the oil field. That's right. But no, Brad Barker doesn't do any karate. He had a karate guy with him.
Right.
By
He kicked the Navy SEALs ass.
That's true. Yeah, he went into his whole karate routine.
Yeah. You know what the Navy SEALs, they don't face karate guys. They face people who
Don't
don't
tell
know.
people that.
They-
It's their fucking one weakness.
well, usually they kill people that don't even know they're there. You know, they're always getting the jump on people.
They use the ninjutsu style of sneaking up.
Yeah.
So what we got here is we got the boys working with the H2O2
Hydrogen peroxide fuel.
yes, distillation. And
they have what? Pretty Bird? Is that
and they have the Pretty Bird, the Rocketbelt.
Pretty Bird.
And they're still doing some testing. And during one of the times where Bill Suitor has gone home to Youngstown, he has, it's suspended the testing. And during that time, a engineer named Cal Jacobs approaches Larry Stanley, and he says to him that Brad Barker has been padding the costs to things like the brackets on the Rocket
Put
Belt.
a markup in.
He's been padding the costs and pocketing the money himself.
The really mean guy.
Well, I mean, some people say he's really mean, What we do know is that he has had a falling out with pretty much every friend he's made so far.
Huh. What a coincidence.
Your mic's falling over there. There we go.
But, so Stanley alleges that he came to the conclusion, after looking through the books, that apparently 30 grand was missing. And
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, back then, now.
Both.
Barker said that Stanley was bouncing checks and he had to cover him. So here's what Stanley had to say about.
There's no truth in it whatsoever. It's a joke, an absolute joke.
But so he didn't. Stanley didn't want to confront Barker at this time about it because he said the Bill Suitor was going to come back to Houston to do some more testing, and they just wanted to get on with it. They were, long past trying to fuck over Kenny Gibson, and they were looking at, the real prospect of making money at this point. And so then the two of them started arguing over who should be able to fly the Rocket Belt.
Guys, there's enough Rocket Belt to go around for all of us.
Now, Larry said he had lost weight specifically to fly this fucking.
I hired a personal trainer.
I used to be a fat turd.
And now you'll be voicing Larry Stanley, handsome Matt Brousseau. And
now you told me he's a Texan?
He is a Texan.
Oh, okay, I guess
and so
wheel.
It started with first they started yelling at each other at Car Audio Plus's office, and Barker said to Stanley,
"You're not flying this belt, lard ass. No one is flying it but me."
And Stanley said,
"I have exactly the same right to fly the Rocket Belt as you."
And then Barker went apeshit, and he grabbed Joe Wright's 9mm semiotic pistol, and he pushed it into Stanley's head. And Barker said,
"Motherfucker, I ought to kill you right now."
Then they just both froze. And then Barker just chilled out, and he put the gun back in the desk, and he said,
"You better just get the fuck out of here."
So Stanley just kind of chills there and watches him go over to the belt and fuck around with it, and then he leaves after a few minutes. And then Barker comes back to Stanley, and he says,
"I don't know what came over me."
But Stanley actually had some theories about the mood swings of Barker. He said,
"I understand he was prone to fits of anger with little provocation. Throughout 1994, Barker used Zoloft and Prozac he bought illegally to control his moods, which varied unnaturally from extreme happiness to ebullience to the deep despair and moodiness. He treated his moodiness with alcohol and drugs."
Now, Barker said this is all bullshit. He said,
"I swear to you that just absolutely never happened." He said that I took a pistol and pointed it right between his eyes, and he said he didn't react at all. I mean, if somebody takes a gun and puts it to my head, I'm going to cry like a little girl. Stanley is just, he's an interesting character.
So a few days later, Barker shows up to Car Audio Plus to get some money from Stanley to get parts for the belt. And he goes up to Stanley and he says,
"Do you have the money I asked for last night?"
And Stanley says,
"No, I can't get the money till Monday."
And Barker says,
"Well, then write me a check."
Stanley,
"I can't write a check without having the money in the bank."
That's not going to cut it. I've had just about enough of you, pal.
Then, according to Stanley, Barker slammed the door and came after him. And Barker began swinging at him. And Stanley was blocking them, and he put him in a bear hug, and they started knocking furniture and shit all over the fucking place. And then Barker tries to get free, and then he smashes another door open. Their doors are breaking. Wood is flying. These two jackasses are all over the fucking place. Barker jumps on top of him, and he says,
"I got a hold of Stanley. I had him on the ground in a chokehold. Once he quit biting, I let go of him."
Then Barker gets up, and he realizes he's hurt. He's got a huge cut in his left hand from a splinter. and blood's pouring out of it, and he calls Joe. He picks up the phone and he calls Joe Wright. He says,
Joe, I've hurt my hand pretty bad. I need you to come to the shop and get me to a doctor.
Wright shows up a few minutes later, and he takes him to the hospital. He gets an X-ray, and it's found he's broken a finger. They put his hand in a splint, and they put his arm in a sling. Larry goes out with his kid for lunch, and then he visits Cal Jacobs. That had started the whole thing with the cost padding shit. And Stanley's like telling him, I'm going to confront Barker. And he says, you're a big guy. Will you come with me? And Jacob says, sure. And now it's about 2 in the afternoon. Barker and Joe Wright are not there. And so then Stanley decides, I'm going to call Joe Wright and tell him what's going on. And he says,
Joe, I have something to tell you. Brad is stealing from the company.
Starts listing evidence, and he starts talking to the different visits to the machine shops where he was padding costs. But meanwhile, he doesn't know that Barker is listening behind a door. And Stanley continues,
All I can tell you, Joe, is that Barker's going to fuck you the same way he fucked me. But me and Cal are going to teach him a lesson he won't forget.
So he's behind this door, Barker. He's getting absolutely fuming. He goes out to the workshop, and he opens up a tool belt, and he pulls out a bright orange, lead-filled dead blow hammer.
Oh, lead-filled.
And so he comes in with his fucking arm and a sling and a splint, and in his other hand, he's got a fucking big hammer.
Dead blow.
Good name.
And Barker says,
Get the fuck off my phone.
Stanley says,
fuck you.
Barker says,
I'm going to kill you, motherfucker.
Stanley falls, and Barker grabs him. They start wrestling around. Jacobs gets up. He tries to split them up, and he eventually puts Barker in a bear hug. Barker still manages to get the hammer and cracks him in the fucking head with the hammer.
Jesus Christ.
And then in trying to block it, he also severed Stanley's right finger at the knuckle, and it's dangling by the skin.
Ah!
And
I don't like this.
And
That's not good.
then Jacobs picks Barker up, and Barker's still able to swing the hammer, and he hits Jacobs in the knees.
Oh.
Then Barker kicks him in the head once he falls to the ground.
Jesus Christ.
And Barker keeps hitting Jacobs, and then Barker begins to yell for help. Finally, the car audio employees start showing up.
Well, they've been listening to
Tunes.
Yeah, Kevin had to supply.
And so all three of them knock down once the door kicks open from the car audio employees. All three of them fall down. And Jacob says, or Barker says, sorry, to Jacobs.
Oh, Jacobs, if you ever get into my business again, I will kill you.
And so he tells Jacobs to leave and orders one of the employees to drive him back to his work. And,
Drive me back to my work.
oh, no, he tells Jacobs to go back to his work. And Jacobs leaves. Barker goes back into the office. Stanley grabs him in a chokehold and punched him in the face. And Barker turns around and starts punching him. And then he said,
What the hell is going on?
The last time, that one?
Yeah.
The last time I hit him, he fell over backwards, laying on the ground like a turtle. I stood over him and told him to stay on the ground, and he did.
Probably fucking asking.
Stanley's whole head is covered in blood.
His fingers.
His white shirt is soaked red. And he said he had been hit 8 to 10 times with the hammer.
Oh!
This is what Stanley said about it.
Barker almost succeeded in killing me, and had Jacobs not been there to stop him, I'm sure he would have killed me before he stopped.
And then Barker said later that he only hit him twice, and because
He got in my face.
You entered with a hammer. You entered with a hammer.
But Stanley at this time pauses to take like a series of photographs of like his injuries right on the spot. Okay?
Smart guy.
And in one of them, he's calling 911 with his head just covered in blood, and he asks for the sheriff's department and says he wants to report an assault. But a car audio employee takes the phone away from him and tells the operator, like, never mind it, and hangs up.
What?
Yeah.
Fuck.
So it seems like at least the employees here are more Barker and Joe Wright siding than Larry Stanley siding, of course. But the Harris County Sheriff's deputies arrive, and Joe Wright shows up. And Barker told him that Stanley had started the fight, but had gotten more beat up. Then an ambulance shows up, and they say Stanley needs to get to the hospital immediately. Stanley says no. And then the deputies tell Stanley that he's going to get arrested for assault.
Jesus.
And Stanley said,
I was flabbergasted they made this decision without listening to my side of the story. Barker had no scratch on him while I was standing there with my shirt soaked from shoulders to waist with blood.
Stanley told him he wanted to press charges against Barker for felony assault with a deadly weapon. Joe Wright says, both of you don't press charges against each other. Stanley refused. He signed a refusal of treatment release for the paramedics and just keeps bleeding all over Car Audio Plus.
Finger falling off.
Yeah.
How did he sign it?
X.
Both of them get charged with misdemeanor assault. And finally, he starts complaining about his injuries. He gets taken to the Lyndon Johnson Hospital.
LB8.
He gets his finger reattached. And then the cops take him back to jail and put him in a cell with Brad Barker.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And Brad Barker said,
I have never understood what purpose the jailer had in mind here, but it was moronic.
So the two of them are sitting there in silence. They're all fucked up from each other. And basically, they said this was the end, and Barker said so much.
We all jumped up and down. We were
No. I'm sorry. Did I not put it there?
No.
That's pretty much what ended the partnership?
Nope.
Sorry, my bad.
That's pretty
much what ended the partnership.
So, Wright and Barker meet with a lawyer friend, and they decide that they're just going to say that all of this rent is owed, even though Wright said he wouldn't charge them until the belt was functional. Mm-hmm. But basically, they're using this as a thing to put a lien against the Rocketbelt to seal it away from Larry Stanley.
Which is like a plane.
Yeah, but it's total bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they said they were owed $12,000 in rent.
Joe Wright.
Yeah, but Joe Wright did say in wording only, it's deferred until it's operational.
Agreement.
Not a lot of gentlemen in this group.
Nope.
They set up a new corporation called Duratron Incorporated.
Duratron?
Duratron. It's like
what year is this?
In days, they've announced that they'd purchased all of ARB's assets, including the Rocketbelt, in a public auction for just $10,000.
Yeah.
Public auction attended by them only.
Yeah.
Brad Barker drives to Car Audio Plus, removes the belt, the fuel lab, and all the associated equipment, and he removes a .357 Winchester rifle. Stanley loses his shit. He goes at it through attorneys, and he says it's a false lien and, fraud. And he pushes the DA to upgrade the assault charge to first-degree assault with intent to murder. But what he really wants is the belt. And so...
Bring your A game! We're going to go in a cell, and I'm going to get that belt from you.
But so Brad Barker and Joe Wright continue to test with Bill Suter. And
do you know if I really want to I really wonder if Bill had any idea of the chaos going on.
Well, for that stuff he was gone at least, but he probably would have heard it all secondhand. And probably from both sides.
Yeah.
So he's very quickly going to get sick of this.
Secondhand reattached finger.
So he does some more tests in the back of Car Audio Plus. They're both very successful, and now they're ready to go and take it to the first commercial flight. This will be the RB2000, the Pretty Bird, making commercial money for the first time.
Brought to you by Duratron Incorporated.
It's all been leading here, So it was at the first test right before they did, was at the Hooks Airport, and they went with a few people, and they got it up to 65 miles an hour and an altitude of 30 feet. And
that's dangerous.
And Barker said,
"We all jumped up and down. We were pretty pleased."
He made 2 more test flights, and the less were not so successful. Barker said,
"On the last flight, he came in a little too hard and did some damage to the belt."
Suter said, "It damn near killed me. That's when I realized it was a disaster waiting to happen." And so he was lucky to get out, and he saw basically there was some flaws here. He said, "The RB2000 had a mind of its own. It weighed over 140 pounds fueled and was not easy to carry. The corset was very uncomfortable, and the controls were difficult to move with finesse. It was more like a flying truck with a steering problem. But so they
140 pounds. That's serious.
A person.
Yeah. So it was at the Houston Ship Canal in June 1995 at a media party that they're going to fly this thing for money. It was in honor of the Houston Rockets winning the NBA championship against Orlando Magic.
Hakeem, the dream.
95.
Yeah.
So this was like the year Jordan was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did they beat the Knicks?
Orlando Magic.
Oh, the Magic. That's right. You said that. What, Shaq?
Yeah, Shaq in his probably his second year, something like that.
So yeah, they've now called it the American Flying Belt Company. They got paid $10,000, and they paid Bill Suter $2,500 to fly it. And
Good deal. Maybe.
So Barker straps him into the belt, and he asks,
Too tight.
and Suter says, "Well, my liver's over here somewhere," pointing to his chest, but that's okay.
It's kind of a yes.
Oh, God.
So Suter takes off from a barge on a cloud of steam, soars over the canal, passes a banner reading, "Houston Lighting and Power salutes the Rockets." He flies over yachts.
Woo!
The Loop 610 bridge is
Holy
behind him,
Oh, okay.
and he's banking over a group of journalists, and he makes a safe landing in a roped-off area.
Pretty crazy.
And one TV cameraman, got too close. He went into the roped area that he was not supposed to.
Oh.
And he said he was hurt from the loud noise, and he dropped his camera. And Suter said, "Then the asshole tried to sue me for hearing loss and damage to the camera. Luckily, the mayor of Houston called the TV station on my behalf and told the jerk to drop the suit. Thankfully, everyone present seemed to really thoroughly enjoy the flight."
I called him and said, "Don't make me get the belt."
And Barker said,
It was nice to see the reaction on everyone's face. It was a fun time.
It's better than a hammer to the head, I'll tell you that.
so they help him put it away, and they put it in Barker's trailer. Barker pisses off, and
Yeah, I'm going to go piss off.
but that's the last time we're going to see the RB2000.
No.
Really?
Because Bill Suter's like, I'm tired of these. These guys are all fucking animals, right? And he goes back to Youngstown. He's restoring classic cars and shit like that.
Cool.
And so now Larry Stanley has formed his own microjet corporation.
It's like a jet, but it's smaller.
It's like but it's fast. That's the Micro Machines guy.
And
Guinness World Record.
he's waiting for this assault charge, to get sorted out. He drove to Car Audio Plus with some friends, including 2 Harris County detectives, and kicked down the office door in an attempt to retrieve some of the Rocketbelt equipment, which really calls in the Harris County stuff.
Yeah. A couple of good old boys.
Yeah, hanging out with a plane thief.
Joe Wright arrives with the paperwork about the lien, and the detectives are like, "Don't touch any of this shit." And assault charges against Stanley are dropped, but Barker's remain because Stanley took all those hammer blows.
And finger chops.
Yeah.
He just got like a suspended sentence of half a year and some community service. Stanley's looking for the RB2000. He can't find shit. He saw it on TV. He was extra jealous, of course. Big fucking success.
I don't know about this.
And he knows Barker still has it, and Barker is kind of in the wind himself. And he was supposed to be on another flying machine project.
Uh-huh.
But nobody knows where this is going on. But you know that he's somewhere in Texas, and you know he's doing flying shit.
Yeah.
But you don't know where he is.
Right. It's a
Very
big state.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Stanley goes after him in court, and he, says that, they did this whole fraudulent loan thing. The lawyer
Did this whole fraudulent loan thing.
and Barker keeps missing his date to do his deposition. And basically, they set trial for the 27th of July, 1998. During this time, Joe Wright's shop goes bust.
Oh, no.
Yeah. People started getting, more car stereos that were worth a shit off the factory line.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
The car phones are getting replaced by cell phones at this time.
Right. Nothing he did is just the state of the art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They got Bose standard, Ready Bauer Expedition.
Yeah.
Plus, he had sunk about $100,000 into this fucking Rocketbelt.
Jesus Christ, Joe.
And they're getting a measly $10,000 for flying around.
Yeah.
But around this time, Barker and Wright start fighting too, right? And they had been, tight for over 10 years, even though, like we said, Barker had been known to scream at him, but
A game, etc.
But also, Wright had admitted in court that the lien was not fair, that it was kind of fraudulent in his deposition. So some people think, Barker thinks that, or Wright thinks that Barker's mad at him for that.
Okay.
And they had been seen arguing, and they thought maybe that now that Barker's losing, or Wright is losing the building, Barker has no more need for him. It was just a free place to have rent. And also, it's another thing too, where you keep falling out with people, and then suddenly you're the only guy with the Rocketbelt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of convenient.
Yeah.
So he closed his doors in February 1998, and he starts, sitting at his computer thinking of new business ideas, and then he picks up a new hobby, which is called crystal meth.
Oh.
Yes.
Now, is that
the high octane?
build houses?
Yeah,
or?
it's like a rocket, but for your body.
My heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need a belt at all. In fact,
It hurt.
So there's a lawsuit that he's kind of part of, from Larry Stanley, and he's the one that had admitted it was bullshit. So he's trying to get on Larry Stanley's good side now. Like he's behind on his house payments. Like
Joe Wright.
He's losing his shit, And so they start mediating, Wright and Stanley, and Stanley's attorney, Michael Von Blon, said, "We knew Joe Wright held the key to the Rocketbelt. Joe had indicated he was willing to help. I don't think he knew exactly where the Rocketbelt was, but he indicated he could get us information that would lead us to it." If you're a lawyer, you have to talk about it. His name's Michael Von Blon, too.
I'm Michael Von Blon.
Michael Von Blon.
Has a flying piece of apparel been pilfered from you in your place of business by no fault of your own?
as someone hit you with a hammer.
Repeatedly? Are you one digit short of a full set of fingers?
I can help.
Have you been denied Rocketbelt flying capability, doing being called a lord ass in your place of employment?
Call me.
So, according to them, Wright says that Brad Barker has the Rocketbelt and that it's in North Harris County. And Stanley and his attorney, Von Blon, say he will get out of the lawsuit if when the Rocketbelt is recovered. And Stanley said about Joe,
I detected a strong fear in Joe's eyes when he discussed this, and he expressed a great concern that if Barker found out he was negotiating with me, he would kill or severely injure him.
In a later meeting, Wright asks Stanley for $10,000 immediately upon recovery of the Rocketbelt, and this seems like it's to get him out of Dodge. He wants to go back to Michigan. He's done with Houston, and
fuck this place.
Von Blon said he wanted money up front to get on the road. Stanley said that Wright was fueled by fear. Stanley actually said,
Joe believed Barker would kill him for telling the truth.
So they're gonna finalize this deal at a meeting on the 15th of July, 1998, with Ronald Bass, who's Joe Wright's attorney, Michael Von Blon, of course, and Stanley and Wright.
Must be tough in the room. You don't know which one of them is talking.
Yeah, same voice.
6:15, Wright calls Wright at home. Bass calls Wright at home because he hasn't shown up. He says he's ill and unable to attend. Everybody's kind of like, okay, whatever. And Von Blon said, Joe wanted to help, but he was scared to death of Barker. Don't forget, Barker had attacked my client with a hammer. And Stanley said,
I believe Wright was just terrified of being seen by Barker with me.
Stanley said during the meeting, which Wright held over the speakerphone, that he called Barker a psycho who belonged in a little orange suit. And
A little orange suit.
A jail suit?
yeah, I guess.
Maybe
Little
just
jumpsuit?
maybe a little
Or
tank
maybe
top.
just like maybe just like a
Fruity little
little
cute little orange suit.
You're my
and-
Oompa Loompa.
Stanley says he'll pay the two grand mortgage repayment debt on Wright's house, and he'll pay him a $10K recovery belt fee. And they're all good. Everybody's happy. Meeting ends amicably, and Stanley says,
I congratulated Joe, and everyone felt like we'd reached our goal. Now all that was needed was for Joe to find the Rocketbelt for us.
and they swapped emails, and
Oh, wow. We really are in the 90s.
Yeah.
I know, right?
yeah, Wright
Earthlink.
Wright emails Stanley at 11, and Stanley said,
I sent him a rather lengthy reply congratulating him and encouraging him that the future was promising, suggesting that he might be able to help in sales and marketing. I never received a reply.
and they did not speak again.
That's not good.
So the turnover order signed by the judge demanding the device be present in court during the trial, Wright never found it. And Wright spoke to a friend on the phone at 11 a.m., and 3 days later, his neighbor and friend Maurice Heimlich opened the door and found a body lying in a pool of blood, and he had been beaten beyond recognition.
Jeez.
The head and torso were completely destroyed.
What?
It was difficult to tell from the waist up if it was a man or a woman.
Oh, if you believe in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
No wonder they couldn't find
It's hard
out.
to tell now.
Come on! Think! Fucking idiots.
Bring your A game!
And they identified him from dental records. He was 37 years old, Joe Wright.
Oh, my
Maybe
God.
his dental records. Fucking hell.
yeah.
He's got to crush the teeth.
Yeah. So, whoever had come in was somebody he knew. He answered the door.
Right?
He
No
was-
sign of forced entry?
No, he was hit immediately, and then with a blunt object.
Huh. Like Hema.
Some sort of
Started backing
dead
up, and he starts going towards his room where he has a gun, and he doesn't quite make it under the bed where the gun is, and he's just beaten to death. And then the beating continues after he's dead.
Oh, my God.
And then the assailant takes time to take the rug that's under him, that's covered in blood, and throw it in the tub and just run the bathwater. And the bathwater's still running when Maurice Heimlich finds him a few days later.
What was the point of that?
I think it was just to wash away evidence.
Oh.
Because if you're beating a guy, hair and blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
But,
I mean,
Probably his load that he shot while he was doing it.
well, he's wearing.
Gotta get some OxyClean. Better get some fucking OxyClean to get my cum out of this fucking rug. I was elated. I climaxed when I
my
beat the
God.
fucking shit out of him.
Oh my God.
one neighbor said she saw somebody climbing over his wall, maybe at around 11:30. Another said they saw a black sedan outside his property. There's hair and DNA samples, but these sheriff's guys are no fucking good. You know what I mean? They failed to take the stash of meth they found. They failed to take his blood-soaked clothing. They didn't even, I think, take the rug that was in the bathtub. And they never, they looked through his records, but Joe Wright was meticulous, and he's got an email address.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
he's on meth. Of course he's
He's
meticulous.
He's meticulous. And so they said that the family never got into his computer to see a lot of the filing that he had put away. So basically, everybody is hugely negligent in this thing. The cops most of all.
Well, I mean, that's the one through line through so many of our profiles.
Yeah.
is the cops not doing the basic.
Looks like you got a bag of rock candy here. We should just probably leave that for the kids.
Maurice Heimlich, who found the body, said, I drove over there because I hadn't heard from him in days. As soon as I saw the door was cracked open, I knew that something was terribly wrong. I didn't really want to go inside, but I had to see what happened. There were flies at all the windows, and I can hear them buzzing.
No.
There was a horrible stench.
Oh,
It was one of Houston's hottest summers. I think it had been 110 degrees for 3 months straight that year. As I walked in, I saw a spot or two of blood on the floor on the way to the bedroom. Then I saw the body lying on the floor.
He's gay.
It was pretty bad.
He's-
It was pretty bad. I didn't examine the body or anything, but I knew it had to be Joe. It was by far the worst day of my life.
Oof.
I knew him only by the shape and scent of his penis because the top half of his body was obliterated to smithereens. But I knew Joe's penis anywhere, even in this hot Houston.
The FBI offers to help Harris County with this investigation.
And what do they say?
And they say, no thanks.
Oh, my God.
We don't need help because we're not going to do anything.
Now, Nancy
Help
Wright...
us with what?
Exactly.
Joe's younger sister, Nancy Wright, said, the police screwed up the crime scene. They didn't collect any good evidence. And but they have the suspect. It's Brad Barker, of course. And Barker said he first heard of the murder when he received a phone call
When he was smashing a man in the head.
from his ex-wife while he was in Arkansas on the night of 19th of July on a Sunday. And he said...
She called me at my office in Fort Smith. I remember specifically the call. It was probably 8 o'clock at night. She said, Joe Wright was murdered. I said, you're shitting me.
I mean, that's the phrasing of a guy. I mean, I'm just speculating wildly. But of a guy who...
I said, you're shitting me.
Who drove there to have he's like, I'm not sure of the time. It was 8 o'clock.
I mean, specifically.
Oh, I don't know.
Between the hours of
I hazard an idea, I suppose.
I've got a receipt here from a Waffle House. Little Rock.
Yeah, but also no alibi for the time of when it happened, just for the phone call from hearing about it.
So Barker was suspicious because his ex-wife told him that she heard it from Larry Stanley's wife. And Larry Stanley is looking for Barker. So Barker said, I thought this was him basically trying to get me out into the open to find me about the Rocketbelt. And Barker said...
As soon as I got off the phone, I called a couple of friends of mine in Houston and told them what I had heard. I asked them to look in the paper. After a few days, they still hadn't heard anything about it. So I just completely let it go. The murder of my former friend.
Yeah.
And business partner.
But on the 21st of July, there was a small piece saying slain man identified because they didn't know it was definitely him for a few days. And it said that a man found beaten to death in his northwest Harris County home has been identified as Joseph Wright, 37. But they said, okay, maybe it's easy to miss. But also it's weird that Barker wasn't looking for his friend too much.
Right.
And he said...
Then, about a month later, I was in Houston and I got taken in by the sheriff's department. They held me for 72 hours on what's called investigative hold. They can hold you for that long without arresting you. Then they were finally forced to release me and let me go.
So he was released without any charge, but the sheriff's department said he's still the only suspect in the case. And he said...
The sheriff's department has gone out of its way to implicate me in this murder, and I've gone out of my way to prove that I'm innocent.
He gave a list during questioning of people in Fort Smith that could, verify his whereabouts, and he said that he made telephone calls that would be logged. And he said when he got free, he collected all this information and he brought it back to them. And
I took all the records to the sheriff's department, and they more or less laughed at me and wouldn't even look at them.
So they said they contacted every person on his list, but could not substantiate the story. And even though there's no definite evidence linking him to the murder, they still say it's basically their guy. But we also have to keep in mind here, Larry Stanley is friends with this fucking sheriff's department.
Yeah.
And the sheriff's department doesn't want anything to do with the FBI being involved and
too close of a microscope on them.
Yeah, right. Because that's right. The FBI gets involved. They're going to talk to Stanley. They're going to find out that the deputies went over there. They're going to go, wait, why are the deputies doing your stuff? What's going on in this whole department?
This belt here?
Yeah, exactly. They're going to bring their A game.
So they said there was some threatening messages, according to Stanley, that had been left on Wright's answering machine by Barker, and the detective said they're more angry than threatening, and Barker basically said that he was angry because Wright had given a friend's telephone number to the FBI in relation to copyright infringement dispute involving the belt. And Barker said,
I remember calling Joe Wright. I didn't get him. I got the machine, and I remember specifically, I said, hey, Joe, it's your buddy Brad. You need to stop blaming other people for your faults and get on with your life. That was it.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't swear.
Yeah. That was it.
But the timing of it, of course, looks a lot like it was about the speakerphone meeting. Yeah. And people said, they heard that Wright didn't show up because he was afraid of Barker. and that maybe Barker sniffed out that the meeting was taking place, and that Wright had basically sold him out and made a deal. And Nancy Wright, Joe Wright's sister, believed that Barker might have even told Stanley might have even told Barker deliberately. And she said, Larry has a big mouth. Larry probably put the word out that Joe had agreed to go against Brad, hoping he would get back to Brad and piss him off.
Canadian sister.
That's supposed to be my Michigan accent.
Oh, okay. No, that works. That works.
But Stanley's attorney said, I believe Barker followed Stanley to Ron Bass's office. He thought, what are Stanley and Von Blond doing here? And he put two and two together. Maurice Heimlich said that that Wright had been afraid of Barker. He said, for the last month, especially in the last 2 weeks, he was in constant fear for his life. He was 100% sure that Barker was going to try to kill him. So, is Larry Stanley a suspect? Nancy said she asked the sheriff's department to give him a Stanley a polygraph test, and they refused. He was never questioned in connection.
Oh, buddy, Larry Stanley for not giving him.
No, that's Larry. Larry. His picture's on the wall.
Larry, you lying?
Stanley,
he's here for the quesadillas.
Stanley said in his affidavit,
I'm absolutely convinced that Bradley Wayne Barker murdered Joe Wright at Wright's home on July 16th, 1988 with malice. 1988 with malice aforethought by beating him to death in furious rage with a baseball bat and other blunt instrument. I believe Barker is a serious threat to my person, my family, and society, and that he will not rest until he murders me and anyone around me at some future encounter. The sooner Barker is in custody, the better off my family and society will be.
it's about improving society.
Not to mention the belt.
So on the website for Microjet Corporation, Stanley posts this affidavit, and he posts pictures of himself beaten with the hammer.
And that's, I think, on the cover of the book.
That's on the back of the book here. Yeah, that's Larry Stanley.
Oh, yeah.
Check me out.
Can I see? Oh, my God.
Yeah,
we got to scan that one.
Really beat the shit out of him.
Oh, my God.
That's Joe Wright on the bottom, and that's Brad Barker.
Cool.
So that's Brad Barker. That's you. That's who you are.
Jesus fucking
That's
Christ.
Joe Wright, and that's Larry
I
Stanley.
don't look good, I'll tell you that.
So Stanley meets with the Wright family, and he tells them that Barker's the killer. And he said that if law enforcement won't do anything about it, then he'll take care of it. And he said he would take him to the desert, torture him, and kill him.
Oh, my God.
And the Wright family's like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And they didn't think, they're like, there's no way he's fucking ever going to do anything like that. And Nancy said, Larry was insistent that Brad had killed Joel, and he wanted to see he was punished. And Stanley says in the affidavit he's afraid of Barker, and he gets a restraining order against Barker, saying that Barker's driving past his house. There was a man in the oil field, and
Karate was involved.
he gets a big old fucking gun. Nancy comes over to discuss the murder of Joe, and he's flashing this thing all over the place, almost blows Nancy's fucking head off. She said, I felt the heat of the bullet whiz by my head and had trouble hearing out of my left ear for a couple of days.
What the fuck?
The bullet took a fist-sized piece of sod out of the yard. Larry called the local police to tell them what had happened. In any case, the neighbors complained. He had that gun on him everywhere he went. He was convinced that Brad was out to kill him. But the thing is that Joe Wright was afraid of everybody, and crystal meth will really do that to you.
Yeah.
There was a bookmaker named Mike Bowman. And Bowman had loaned him, I believe, $30K.
Loaned
Joe Wright, $30K. And Joe K had traded over his life insurance policy.
Joe K?
Joe K.
Joe Wright.
I'm thinking worth $50K. Joe Wright had signed over his insurance policy worth $50K.
To this guy?
To this guy.
To get 30.
You can do that? You can still do that. I know
that's the math.
Yeah.
They had a falling
Christ.
out. And some people said that Wright said, if anything ever happens to me, I got a file on Bowman in my attic.
Oh.
And they said,
but did he?
They said that they took Bowman and gave him a lie detector test, which is not admissible. Like
They're not.
why they're letting people go over lie detector tests is beyond me. But he passes and they let him go. But they also said that Barker tried to find this file later, and the file was missing. And so they wonder if Bowman maybe implicated other Harris County sheriffs in some of the illegal shit going on in the town.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And if these guys are going on ride-alongs to kick down doors and steal rocket belts, why not?
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sure it wasn't a one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
No thanks, FBI. We're good. We got it.
We don't want to know what's in.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't want to know what we're doing.
There was also a guy named Wayne Johnson who was a drug dealer, and he sold right to the crystal meth. They said he'd been in for illegal firearms, drugs, and he worked security at the Houston Canal flight with Bill Suter.
Oh, God. There's just so many. I mean, this generation of rocket men is just...
You know, I feel like all rocket men, whether it's Werner von Braun or Jack Parsons or these guys,
Great start.
They're
fucked up.
They're a peculiar sort.
Elon Musk,
Yeah.
Elton John, hi, hello.
That's not even his real name.
So yeah, they thought this Johnson guy that he owed drug money to. The FBI was like, we're also keeping an eye on Bowman and Johnson, and we don't think they're involved.
I mean, is the FBI, when the police say, no, we don't want your help, the FBI's like, all right. They just give up?
I think they were investigating them separately from this.
Okay.
So I think that's why they were probably like, no, we have them surveilled during that time or something, but they can't say it.
Yeah.
So there was another woman named Diane that was supposed to be coming around, maybe a drug dealer.
Diane.
To give him meth. His former business partner, Brian Galton, that he'd started Car Audio Plus with, and also gave him some funding for the, I believe it was for the Houston Canal flight. They had a falling out. And they said that Galton beat him up on more than one occasion.
Beat up Joe?
Beat up Joe.
Oh.
This rocket belt's a curse, I tell you. It's because you keep getting in bed with these scumbags.
He's like Ray Liotta and killing him softly.
What?
Just getting his ass kicked by everybody, puking up on the side of the... Just like once he's got splints and he's all better, they're just... Next guy just piece of shit.
But, of course, also very secretly, Wright was gay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I saw the picture plus the crystal meth.
He never told his dad. Only his closest friends kind of knew, and he wasn't, publicly out at all. But some people thought it affected how the sheriff's department handled it, especially Nancy, his sister.
Yeah, probably.
She said, one detective insinuated that Joe had a preference for young men, teenagers, and that his house was full of homosexual pornography. Another said he didn't condone the gay lifestyle and felt it was morally wrong. I told him it was not up to him to pass judgment on people's lifestyles and that he was paid to serve and protect the public and probably should keep his bigoted remarks to himself.
Fucking pig. Now, did that inform the voice that you were doing about Joe's friend? Well, I get it was the hottest Houston on record, I suppose.
Well, also, you can just have a sassy Southern man, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
you can.
You can. If you're Joe Wright, you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were thinking maybe it's a lover thing just because of the overkill involved and the violence of it, but I don't know.
It's a pretty gruesome scene.
Yeah,
it is.
And not a lot of savory characters involved here.
Not a lot of good guys.
No.
Good guys.
Solid dudes. No
guys.
Yeah.
There was a man.
The scariest version of guys.
In '99. 6 months after he was questioned over the murder of Joe Wright, Barker was back in custody at the Harris County Sheriff's Department. He was driving south of Houston when he saw the lights flashing in his mirror. He says,
I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not speeding. I'm not doing anything. Next thing I know, I got cops all over me.
He pulls over. He's asked to identify himself. He offers his name. Officers, get out of the car.
Brad Barker.
He goes, get out of the car, Mr. Barker. There's a warrant for your arrest out of Houston for the theft of a firearm. Barker says,
you're full of shit. I don't know what you're talking about.
It was a theft reported by Larry Stanley. He was accused of stealing Stanley's rifle from the Car Audio Plus, which he did take. And he was put in jail and held pending a trial. He was in jail for 60 days, which is fucking insane.
Holy pending. I mean that it goes on longer for people.
It also sounds like, again, this county is out for this man.
Yeah.
Yes. But also to be fair, like there's people in Rikers in New York who have been there for years pending trial. America has a big problem.
What?
So Barker says he pawned it for $100, but he says Stanley gave it to him because a check bounced for $75. A whole bunch of fucking petty bullshit.
Yep.
And the judge was like, both of you are feuding over this Rocketbelt and have a reason to lie. So maybe you're fucking wasting all of our times. So Barker gets let go. But yeah, he's fucking separated from his son for fucking 2 months. Larry's civil suit finally comes up in July 99, and it's in the Houston courthouse. It had been filed in 95. Joe Wright's murder, of course, held that up. Stanley turns up with Von Blon and Jeanette Anderson. Everybody defrauding the lien, all that nonsense, all that bullshit. And Stanley makes his case, basically. And Stanley said about I'm sorry, I didn't give this to you, Matt. He said about the belt, he worshipped that belt. It was his golden calf. He considered it his personal property. He would polish it all day long. It was an obsession.
Pretty bird.
Yeah, look at you. Oh, what a pretty bird you are. Oh.
The judge said the case contained evidence of greed, craft, intrigue, mystery, and murder. Elements of a cheap novel found on the bestsellers list.
Yeah.
So basically, they found in favor of Stanley. They agreed the Rocketbelt was capable of generating an income of $25,000 per flight.
Off of what? They got $2,500 from the fucking...
No. Bill Suter got $2,500. They got paid $10,000 for the flight over the yacht.
You're right.
So the judge basically says, you are owed $10.2 million.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. The judge then walks back and takes
And
off his robe at the Harris County.
And he's awarded sole ownership of the RB 2000.
Oh, my God. The RB?
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah, I know.
So Jeanette Anderson says, I have no assets. Joe Wright is dead. And Brad Barker is can't even be found, right? Stanley said,
I'm relieved this is over with. Hopefully this will exert public pressure on them to finally return the belt.
Barker
Smart
said,
man.
Barker gave a reason why he wasn't at the trial.
The reason I wasn't in court is because they were sending letters to me at Fort Smith when they knew I was in Dallas. And Larry Stanley was having one of his guys up there take my mail and not give it to me. So basically, he walked into the court of law without me there to defend myself, and the judge awarded him $10.2 million.
And he said he didn't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
Because
I wasn't really worried about losing $10 million because I didn't have it. I just kind of laughed at it. They should have just asked for $100 billion.
Very good.
Stanley says he's going to keep looking for the belt, offering a $10,000 reward, and he says,
if I'm persistent and determined, I will recover that belt. I'm not anywhere close to giving up on it. He's going to have to bury it.
So they finally find out what Barker's been working on. He was working on a new flying machine with the help of the Williams Tool Company, and it was called a personal flying device. And it was like a...
PFD?
It was like a big floating barrel. It was just like the same shit, but in a barrel.
A bit.
Well, the nice thing is that when you land on the Niagara Falls...
So it's to really have it look like it's a can flying through the air. I'm not joking.
Best and
Like
brightest.
a Pepsi or a Budweiser, whatever you want.
Because then you go to the fucking football game and there goes the Busch Light Rocketbelt thing.
And there it goes. It's gone. We don't know. It's crashed. More stuff.
God damn it.
Everybody involved in this, once you get past the guys who were scientists or physicists or whatever, just
none of them.
But they were like, a guy that he had worked with before, a guy named Doug Malowicki, was he that's his name.
That's a good name.
he had inviting a flying can blimp before, so it was just another thing he'd stolen.
A flying can?
Can blimp.
Yeah.
Oh, the human.
These guys, they're great, really good with names.
I think I've seen some of these in some of those released UAP files.
Yeah,
There's a flying can of fucking Pepsi flying through the fucking Air Force base.
But the can literally fails to get off the ground.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fucking work. And it cost the Williams Tool Company $400,000.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Was it made? They made it out of money?
Yeah.
He was trying to get still hold on to the device, and they were like, no. And Barker had this to say.
I tried to negotiate with the guy to get it back, but he wouldn't even talk to me on the phone. So like an idiot, and I take full responsibility for being an idiot here, I went back to Fort Smith.
So they go back to Williams Tool with walkie-talkies.
Breaker.
And they go in to break in, and a bunch of sheriff's deputies are waiting in the shed. And Barker is going through the ducks like it's Die Hard.
Oh, fantastic.
Come out to Fort Smith.
Probably the
Have a
loudest
couple of
thing.
laughs.
And he was arrested for commercial burglary.
Commercial burglary?
Yes.
It's like television burglary?
So the DA says we will drop the burglary charge if you admit to misdemeanor of criminal trespass, but he says...
I said piss on you. I'm not pleading guilty to anything. That was my equipment, and I got screwed out of it.
They keep him 72 days in jail. His bail is set at $100,000. He gets it reduced to $25,000, and he goes to Houston to say he's got papers that would clear his name. And he said the papers, which were signed by Williams, will prove he was breaking into his own shed. And he goes to Tomball, Texas.
Tomball. 77377.
Tomball?
That's the zip code. I remember that as a kid typing in fake zip codes.
Okay. Tomball, Texas.
That was a whole story. I'll tell it on Patreon.
Tomball, Texas.
So weird.
He goes to his storage...
Fucking Rain Man over here.
Yeah.
That's the only one I remember.
He goes to his storage facility, and it's empty. And he realizes Larry Stanley emptied this fucking thing out, right?
Holy shit.
Yeah. Stanley hears about Barker's arrest. He hurries there looking for the Rocketbelt. And he meets up with Tom Wade, who's the flying can guy.
The can guy.
The sitting can guy.
He brings him to one of Barker's hiding places that's full of Rocketbelt fuel. And
safe.
Well, I mean, it's like the lab.
Yeah.
Still, though, it's not exactly Spider-Man Doc Ock.
Yeah.
It's a trailer. It's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
The Rocketbelt is not there, but Stanley takes the trailer.
You take
Yeah. They search Barker's Toyota. They find nothing. They find an address book and a receipt of the storage facility in Tumall, and then that's when he found the receipt, and then he went to Tumall, cleaned it up, right? And so Tom Wade just gave him the keys, so it's not even as if he broke into the storage facility. But Barker said,
basically, he came in and stole all my documentation.
Barker reports the burglary, and
I'm here to report a burglary.
Barker's
my documentation.
Stanley says basically he's told, "Hey, I've got your fucking papers, but my price is give me the fucking Rocketbelt back, right?" And so we're now in November 1999, and I think right here we need to take a little break because things are going to get a little crazy again.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh boy,
Be right back.
Crazy.
And we're back.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
Hey, boys. So this is, again, all from the wonderful book, The Rocketbelt Caper, from Paul Brown. That's right here. And so, I mean, I'm taking from this, part and parcel, baby. It's really, really good. There's a lot more in here that you can get out of. Mine did come from Max Rocketansky. That's what he put on the return
Not Max
address.
Rocketansky, but Max
No.
Rocketansky used to be a cop.
Yeah. In Australia.
It's a good thing you got it, because that's not being returned. I'll tell you that one.
What?
How are they going to find him, man?
I don't know. He's mad.
He's Furiosa.
Max, thank you again. I mean, we're having so much fun.
Thank you, Max.
Welcome to Thunderdome. Bring your A game. We bled the same blood in the same mud.
We'll see if your blood is as red as mine. With the flares.
Where was it?
With the flares.
Friday Night in Flint.
So, November 99, Brad Barker starts receiving messages from a stuntman in Hollywood. Now, remember, Kenny Gibson was also a stuntman in Hollywood. He was the guy jumping out on those fucking wings of planes while they're flying and shit.
Crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is Chris the Flying Wizard Wenzel.
Oh.
And he specialized in airborne stunts, and he was in Poison Ivy. Drew Barrymore, ever heard of it? Hello.
Wow. What did he play?
I would assume he was just doing stunt
Some
work.
guy.
Who fucking knows? Who
Yeah, he was Drew Barrymore's stunt dit. Poison Ivy 2, that was a good one too.
Was it?
Yeah.
So he offers
Jamie Foxx.
he offers Barker, who's just basically fresh out of jail.
Homeless.
He offers him $1,500 for filming this controlled crash of an airliner in Los Angeles, stunt work basically.
Holy shit.
And
1,500.
He offers Brad that?
yes,
Like, hey, come
come
shoot it?
Yeah, come film this thing with me. And so he calls his bail bondsman in Fort Smith, and he tells them he's going to L.A. to do some work. And Larry Stanley begins calling J&J Bonding, and he says that Barker was jumping bail, and he was going to Venezuela.
So Larry is tapped into all of this still.
And so the sheriff's deputy and detectives from Harris County are warning the company that he's jumping bail. And Barker has no idea. He shows up in L.A. for this job, and he meets this guy, Chris Wenzel, who's a short, little thick fella, right? And Wenzel takes him up for some grub, and then they go on his boat, and then they go back to his place in North Hollywood. And then Barker introduces him to some people, and he says,
These are the guys you'll be with in the desert.
Barker
I
says,
think it's just off the top of my head. I wasn't sure what to do with that.
Barker says, and four guys go inside, and they sit at the table, and they talk for, 15 minutes, and they're getting along really well. And suddenly Wenzel pulls out a gun and puts it at the Barker's dome.
I thought it was a joke. I wasn't being cocky or anything, but when I smiled, it scared the shit out of Chris Wenzel.
And so Wenzel freaks out. He says,
Get that son of a bitch on the ground. The last time I put a gun to somebody's head and they smiled at me, I knew they were crazy or just didn't give a shit.
At this point, I realized it was serious.
and so Barker has no idea what the fuck is going on.
I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
I knew that.
And Wenzel says,
Where's the Rocketbelt?
and Barker's like, what the fuck? And he goes,
So Larry Stanley's behind this?
Don't know him. Never heard of him.
and so then they tie up Barker, and they pull his arms behind his back. They put him in cuffs, and they tie his legs together with rope, and they put him into a seat. And then Wenzel puts the gun to the back of his head, and he says,
Did you kill Joe Wright?
No,
Where's the Rocketbelt?
I don't have it.
goes on for several hours,
Hey,
and
not gonna ask you. I will ask you again.
then finally they take him into another room. Then he gets put into this wooden box
Oh my God.
that's 3 feet high and 4 feet long, and it says scuba tanks on the side.
Oh,
And Wenzel says,
Watch your fucking head, bad boy.
and he puts the lid on the box.
please let me out.
Hold on,
No.
hold on.
The fuck?
So yeah, he's hooded. He's in the box, and
You know what you did.
and every day he gets asked about the belt.
Hey, where's the belt?
And Wenzel now starts threatening his son. He says,
I know exactly where your son lives, and I'll go get him and tie his little ass up in the box with you.
and so he starts being asked if he's afraid of rats and snakes.
Oh my god.
Are you afraid of rats and snakes?
The fuck?
And now he goes,
Are you afraid of rats and snakes? You put anything
Rats,
in the...
yes. Snakes, no.
hey, column A, not B.
But I lied. I'm actually afraid of snakes, and I don't give a shit about rats.
Yeah. Thinking about snakes is I pretend they're lying all over my legs
And
while I'm having a seizure.
They're actually my best friends.
I
I love
ejaculate on the snake.
them. And they like that.
So he goes, well, the Barker says, I'm saying to myself basically, like, if I tell him where the Rocketbelt is, I'm definitely dead.
Right.
He's like, the only thing that's keeping me alive is
The
you know,
knowledge of the belt.
they're not.
That's why you bring your A game.
But so he's sitting in this box for days, thinking about what the fuck happened. Like, how did I get here? Is it Larry Stanley? What's going on? And he's
Dude,
like,
this is like some Lebowski shit.
yeah,
About the rocket belt?
Yeah.
yeah. And he goes,
The Chinaman took it.
and he put the rug in the bathtub.
It kidnapped itself. It's a rocket belt.
He kidnapped himself, dude.
So he basically figures out that Wenzel is getting instruction from somebody via email, right?
Technological age. This is November.
Because he kept hearing the "You've got
99.
mail" sound.
Yeah. Beep, boop, bam, brrr. You've got mail.
So he says, he's like, he knows my kid's address, he knows my address, and he goes, but like, I don't know this fucking guy. And he's going like, why is he calling me bad boy? Which is fucking insane.
Well, I think that's being a California
Maybe Bad
dude.
Boys had just come out.
Yeah, bad boy.
And
You're one of them.
So, they said during one interrogation, Barker suggested Wenzel get Kenny Gibson involved, and they found a message to this emailer from Wenzel that said,
Bad boy suggests we get Gibson involved. Since Gibson is the stunt double for a Hollywood tough guy, maybe little bad boy hopes Gibson will come out here and rescue him for the big bad men holding him from them, not for them.
My God, Wenzel's a fucking numbskull.
Yeah. The big bad men holding him.
We're the big bad men.
he said he's got no sense of time during this whole ordeal, and he says one day
Neither does Wentz. But
one day he's pulled from the box and led to another room, and Wenzel says,
my friend Jim is helping me today, bad boy.
and so he gets taken into the garage.
Are these guys gay too?
They will be.
Get him sleeping.
This box says scuba tanks, but it's really a glory hole box.
So they drag the scuba tank box into the garage, and they pick Barker up, and now they put the lid back with the drill, and they screw the lid down, and then they hear enough like there's more holes being drilled in the box, and Jim says, "Is that enough holes?" And Wenzel says,
No, the more holes, the faster it'll sink.
and Barker starts crying, and he says,
Please let me out.
and Wenzel says,
Shut the fuck up. We're going for a little boat ride.
Please, Chris, I don't want to drown. Would you give me a minute to say a prayer and then put a bullet in my fucking head?
Sure, no problem.
What?
so Barker
He
says,
said, sure, no problem.
so Barker's praying, right?
You gotta be fucking kidding me. Sure.
Well, you seem like a guy who would believe.
I gotta hose off the boat and take it out of the marina. We gotta drive 45 fucking minutes down to Marina Del Rey.
And he goes, I don't get dumped in the ocean. He goes, nobody shoots me in the head. And he goes, they lift the lid 2 more times. One time they feed me a slice of pizza.
Awesome. What kind?
From
He
where?
spits it out. I was like, oh, I hate mushroom.
And then Wenzel, after on the 6th day, Wenzel pulls him out and he says,
I've got a notary coming by, and you're going to sign some papers. If you look at her If you try to talk to her, I'll blow your head off.
Gets taken to the kitchen. He's handcuffed to a chair. Hood's brought off his head. And then he sees this woman, Elise Hoyt, a notary.
Notary for the mob.
Wondering what the fuck she's doing.
On the table, there's an affidavit, or a sworn statement waiving his claim to the Rocketbelt, plus papers relating to his bail extradition in Arkansas. And Wenzel points the gun in his head, and he says,
"You're going to sign this thing, or else I'm going to shoot you in the head."
So it's really not subtle.
The notary's like, typical, this is normal.
Okay, well...
Wenzel points to all the initials and everything where he's
here.
Yeah.
Initial here.
Does he point with he's pointing with the gun?
And then, so Elise Hoyt notarizes and leaves.
Oh my God.
So, it's 3:30 in the afternoon, and
Wenzel opens the door and he says,
I think it's time you met Jim.
And in comes Larry Stanley saying,
"Oh, fuck. Where's the Rocketbelt? If you don't cooperate, I think it's going to get worse for you." You know I took your paperwork?
Barker doesn't say shit.
That's so stupid. I think it's time you met Jim.
Why?
Why?
Why show yourself?
You've given up the goat.
And also, I think it's time you met Jim. If you're going to bring him in, just say Larry.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is for the audience.
Yeah, Chris thinks he's like, I'm a master storyteller. Jim was Larry.
The whole time.
Yeah, he just finished Fight Club.
Yeah.
It's 99.
Good year for movies.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I bet you're wondering why your eyes hurt. It's because you've never used them. I just saw The Matrix.
Wait till you meet my little friend.
So he gets put in the box.
In the backs.
And he's like, all right, well, Larry's behind this whole thing. And then he starts fiddling with his cuffs, and he realizes he can get it free. And then he gets all the way out of the box.
We don't need to watch him.
And then he hears somebody coming, so he's got to get back in and be fake tied in the box again.
Awesome.
And on the next night, he gets out of and Wenzel questions him more on the 3rd of December. This goes on and on.
He's already signed the paperwork.
Yeah.
I just want to know what your favorite
now
color is.
The location of the box is still a thing.
The
right?
Rocketbelt. Right.
The Rocketbelt, excuse me. Yeah. So he leaves, and then Barker fucks with the cuffs again. He pulls the hood off his head. He unties his legs. He gets the window open, and he fucking books it, and he's running through North Hollywood.
No, we don't need to lock the windows. It's California. The breeze is good.
Yeah, we only have AC here.
Goes to a gas station, finds a payphone, makes a collect call to his brother. He's like, check on my son. And he's like, call the FBI.
Can you imagine that collect call, though? Because they do the thing of like...
You have a collect call from...
They came me in a box!
I'm not sure. Except?
You have a collect call from... They came me in a box!
I think that's...
It's Brad.
Yeah, that Seinfeld joke. Who is this? So the FBI meets him in like a fucking diner in NoHo.
Oh, which one?
I don't know.
No, diner.
Maybe.
Probably.
So he had lost 30 pounds in this box in 8 days.
And now he can fly the
Did
rocket.
he shit in the box?
I bet that's why they didn't feed him much.
Yeah.
Probably don't want to deal with all that.
30 pounds in 8 days?
Yeah.
What the fuck was he doing before? How big was he? How big was the box? How big was he?
3x4. He was probably cramped as fuck.
Oh, yeah. So
that's
the weight
the
limit.
FBI
Get Ozempic.
The FBI's like, take us to the house, and he takes him back to the bungalow, and he sees him in the rear view, and Barker says,
"That's him!"
So they surround the car.
What? He's following?
Yeah.
Oh, God. These guys are so fucking... It's following him.
So yeah, they found guns and rope and all types of shit. It was bad in the car.
Boxmark snakes, boxmark rats.
And both of them had been switched,
Yeah.
and he just had fucked it up. I don't even know if these are snakes, because they're in the rats box.
Oh.
So Stanley was charged with, kidnapping for ransom, false imprisonment, extortion.
The fraudulent use of a notary public, which is probably federal.
That's the biggest.
That's the thing. That's how they got Capone.
Yeah, exactly.
Stanley was bailed for $50,000. His family paid it, even though it seemed like the oil money was running out. And
Really, how is this not a?
For fucking Rocketbelt.
I know.
It's not gonna revolutionize shit.
No, they have nothing else going on.
Do you think this is like the secret to like fucking cars that run on water and shit?
Yes,
you know?
the Da Vinci Code
I know.
for the idiots, which was
It's
already
Da Vinci Code.
So, Barker's got to get up on the stand and talk about his whole ordeal. And the attorney was like basically was loudly yelling at him about being unclear about details, and Barker said,
Like I said, I didn't sleep for 8 days. I was pretty in and out.
and then the judge goes to the attorney, if you were in a box for 8 days, you'd probably have the same problem. And Abramson says, yes, if I was, but I don't believe he was. And the judge goes, yeah, but if he was, he doesn't deserve to be yelled at. So, they put the whole thing before a trial, and, the DA was basically, has to lay out this whole case about how they're obsessed with this belt, and the whole thing is insane.
Listen, follow me here. This is going to sound retarded.
Yeah.
These guys, they made a fucking belt that shoots a guy in 30 feet in the air for 10 seconds.
So there was this guy. He was a water skier. He was ripped.
He can water ski without skis. You can picture it if you can imagine.
And so that's the guy they chose.
So this guy, Peter Korn, spelled like the band.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
They kept my guy in a box like he was a freak on a leash. We need to eat the Limp Biscuit.
Part of the thing is, they brought this show to L.A. Like, this is the Van Nuys Superior Court. So, like, it's like...
Oh, yeah, it's right
The
there.
L.A. Times is going, wait, what happened over what? Like, they brought it to national...
Yeah.
You took the show to L.A.
Yeah. This is
Like,
incredible. Of all the places.
Nobody's buying this shit in Texas, I guess.
I know.
Of all the courthouses and all of it.
So, it starts getting some L.A., a little bit of glitz and glamour, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Finally, this is what they wanted, though.
Only in America!
But so Brad Barker gets on the stand and he says,
I thought he was going to murder me.
yeah.
Real good. It was I really enjoyed the build.
And then he talks about how he signs the affidavits and he says,
I did exactly as I was told.
so the Elise...
They called me a bad boy, but I was actually a good boy.
So Elise Hoyt, the notary, gets up and she's like, yeah, that guy was cuffed to a chair and signing the
Oh
affidavit.
my God!
fuck?
Like, you bring a notary to a fucking kidnapping? Are you fucking out of your mind?
Yeah.
This is some Bush League shit.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't get a cop.
Are you taking notes on a motherfucking criminal conspiracy?
Yes. Yes, I am.
That's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
You did one better. You notarized the criminal
Yeah.
You brought a person who, like,
She took an oath.
their word
Yeah.
is bond.
They don't even have to swear in. They're sworn in all the time.
She goes, he was
Yeah.
kind of good. And that one said that one would kill that one
Yeah.
if that one didn't sign my papers.
Case closed.
Yeah.
Gavel down.
Oh, God.
Nancy Wright gets on the stand and says, that guy said he would kidnap him and torture him and kill him.
Yeah. Fuck, I forgot.
Yeah, now that you ask.
So Wenzel enters a fucking plea deal, of course. He was like, dude, I
Dude,
you know what I mean? He's a fucking idiot, right? Korn said the worst thing that Mr. Wenzel did was put Mr. Barker in a box. That was an inhumane and despicable act. But Wenzel's attorney said this is a different man than many of the people you sentenced. if ever there was a man that would never be back here again under any circumstances, this is the man.
Ooh,
like,
that is not a good argument.
I don't know, man.
It seems like he's pretty gullible.
Yeah.
And he'd do it at the drop of a hat.
But also you go to the judge. Look, judge, I know you've seen a lot of bad people.
This guy's not that bad. All he did was put him in a box.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like a...
But he was still he was sentenced to 6 years in prison. So I mean,
Okay, that seems like a good number, I think. I don't know.
Solid.
But Larry Stanley does not admit guilt. Okay?
That was just Jim back there.
And it was basically like they were like, these guys are still obsessed with this belt, and they don't even think things are wrong. If
It's just the belt
they
for
were,
you.
they were like, and so he goes, you got to give him a long sentence, right? And he's like, otherwise this guy will just do other crazy shit. Like, right? Oh, yeah. So he fired his attorney after the guilty verdict, Stanley, and then he represents himself at the sentencing hearing.
Always a good look.
Always a good look. And he sentences Larry Stanley to a term of life plus 10.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Plus 10.
You never know. Are you dead?
So Larry starts crying while saying,
Your Honor.
Cry. There we go.
Your Honor, I never imagined I ever did anything wrong.
Huh?
I was just trying to be persuasive.
persuasive.
So he admits it.
Mr. Barker was not harmed in any way. I don't understand how this is a life sentence.
I mean, he looks better than ever. Look, he dropped 30 pounds. I can see his cum gutters.
Go on.
My search for the Rocketbelt has cost me $500,000, left my family destitute and on food stamps.
No, we are hungry.
What I wouldn't give to be in that box being fed a slice of pizza. You ask me, yeah, it's pretty good.
Came out of my pocket. That slice.
Taking food in my baby's mouth.
Yeah. Would he have fit through that window if I didn't make him lose them 30 pounds? I don't think so.
Think about it.
Body by Larry. That's my new thing.
Say,
Hey, in the box.
you'll need a belt to hold your pants up because they're so loose.
Hate cardio.
And freedom.
Brad Barker was not there, but he said,
I thought Wenzel's was really light. Sentence.
yes.
Larry Stanley, I thought he got what he deserved.
Stanley was driven 400 miles north to the California State Prison at Solano. And 2 days later, he wrote on prison notepaper to Deputy DA Peter Korn, and in the letter, he admitted his guilt. He said,
Sound of writing.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
nice, I like that.
I owe you and the people of California an apology for taking so long to recognize my problem. My persistence and determination to obtain justice became the obsession you spoke of in court on Friday.
Love. There.
Forever, your humble gimp. And the guy, like, Corn said, I never wanted to give him, but, like, he just couldn't admit guilt. He's like, I didn't know what else to do. So he decided to go back to the judge and ask to reduce the sentence. This is major white people shit.
Yeah.
And under California law, within 120 days, that can happen. I had no fucking idea.
Excuse me, Judge. You know, I know it's been a week.
He goes back to the Van Nuys Superior Court on January 13th, 2003, and he tells him that Stanley would not reoffend upon release now that he admitted his guilt. And
That's how it works, right?
he said, my job is to do the right thing, and I think this is the right thing, and the judge agreed.
Oh, okay.
He threw out the kidnapping for ransom charge, and he quashed the life sentence, but the false imprisonment and extortion charges were held, so that means 8 years in state prison. Brad Barker also said he had some say in the reduced sentence. He said,
I called Peter Korn and I asked him to drop the kidnapping charge. I said, I'm not asking you to do this for Larry Stanley. I'm asking you to do this for his 2 children.
yeah.
Oh,
We're
wow.
on food stamps.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like he just said he got what he deserved. So
Yeah.
It's very hard to tell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, life sentence to 8 years is a pretty big fucking gap.
Yeah, especially life sentence plus 10 years.
Brad Barker went back to life working in the Trojan power plants, and he said,
It's boring as hell. I hate it. I'd rather be building a rocket.
Yeah, okay.
the thing was, Barker was still not done because Barker had never given up the fucking Rocketbelt.
Jesus
Right?
Christ.
Diamond hands, dude. Smooth brain 8.
And so he's got another court case coming up, and he's fighting for the legal ownership. And he says,
Hopefully, since I will be in court this time and Stanley will be in prison, the truth will be heard and the things will go a little better.
so of course he knows where it is the whole time, right?
Yeah.
So he had shuttled it around and, held it in different storage places and sheds, etc., through friends, people doing him favors. But in court, he never says he knows where it is.
I mean, it's the Ark of the Covenant or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to blow your face off.
Yeah. Close your eyes.
So the guy, Rob Fisher, the karate guy from the oil fields, remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's a black belt now.
So he heard about the kidnapping and he's like, I don't want to get involved with all this crazy Rocketbelt shit again. So they came up with a plan to break them down into pieces, the Rocketbelt, and vacuum seal them inside specially designed watertight containers and submerge them underwater.
God damn it, this is so stupid. God, it's the...
And then he goes, that way we can truthfully say under oath that we don't know where the Rocketbelt is, or that we don't have possession of it, I suppose. And
it's so stupid.
Paul Brown says at this point, the plan was eccentric and didn't make much sense, and so was perfectly suited to be associated with the Rocketbelt 2000.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you want to overthink a problem by a millennia? This is how you do it.
So, he keeps postponing hearings again and stuff like that, and they're ready to go into this, and Barker says,
The judge was very kind. I've got to go speak to an attorney, but the judge was very nice to me and act kind of short to the other side, it seemed like, so we'll see what happens.
so the judge keeps ordering this thing to be present, right?
Oh, you got to bring the bell. I need
bell.
to see, what's all this fucking commotion about?
Yeah.
One time, him and his new attorney, they show up with a big box, and it's just got a bunch of fucking parts in it. And so the judge is not thrilled with that at all, because, like, you just kind of made a big show of nothing. Right? And Barker says, I'm having trouble getting a hold of it, which is, not true.
So slippery being underwater.
And it's now good at, like, going to mediation with the Stanley family, because Larry
He's in
Stanley won possession of it in court legally, but he's in prison.
Yeah, that's a twist.
So Barker says during the mediation, well, I want half. And they're like, no. So the mediation breaks down. So they're like, fuck this guy. And he goes back to Rob Fisher's and gets the Rocketbelt, right? And he takes in his truck. He drives off.
Hits a jump. Falls in the Grand Canyon.
He's got another court date. And the judge is just like, you don't have it again? And so he finds him guilty on 3 counts of contempt, and he gives him a full week until noon on the 15th of October to present him the Rocketbelt 2000 and all associated components. And he's like, unless you bring it, you'll be fined $500 and immediately taken into custody. He was like, you would serve 6 months in jail for each charge, a total of 18 months for contempt. He keeps saying, I don't got it.
Pretty good.
But he had just been seen with it picking up from Rob Fisher's. So they know he's fucking got it. What a fucking catastrophe.
No, Your Honor, I don't know. Oh, it could be anywhere. Ooh. Over there? No, that guy has it. It's in that guy's house.
So he turns up 15th of October. Only excuses. The judge is like, "Fuck this," and he feels like it's an insult to the court. Of course,
Yeah.
You know, he's taken to jail, and he's like, "Well, I still have the Rocketbelt. I'll just be going to jail."
I am going to go to jail for 18 months.
I'm gonna have my buddy smuggling it in piece by piece through his anus during our conjugal visits, and I'm gonna assemble it in secret behind a poster
And then I will fly out of here next time we have recess.
over the beautiful San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, into a cove.
But in the Harris County Jail, in his 6th month, one day he hears Barker ATW, which stands for Barker All the Way.
Who hears what?
Barker hears the call Barker ATW
He hears somebody say it in prison or in jail.
over the loudspeaker.
Okay, so he's being called to the front or something?
It means you're free.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh, wow, so they had internet speak
So
back
he hears Barker ATW, and he says,
It just went one ear in one ear and out the other. I just wasn't expecting to get out. On contempt, they can keep you forever, and it really pissed the judge off. I don't know why he decided to let me go. And after he put me in jail, I wrote him a 3-page handwritten letter basically telling him that what he did to me was a bunch of bullshit. That probably didn't help much, but I'd had enough of his shit. I had told him the way this whole thing was handled was a joke. I told him the Harris County Sheriff's Department was as corrupt as hell. It probably wasn't a smart thing to do, but I was just tired of being screwed with.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, they are corrupt. Sounds
Yeah, he would know better than most.
Yeah, that's true.
so Barker decides, he's back into this legal thing. He's got a new attorney now and stuff. And he said that, basically he just, he wants it to be over. And he said he admitted that his story was crazy and had the elements of a Hollywood movie.
It's crazy.
A Bollywood movie.
He was asked who would like to play him on screen, and he said,
Pee Wee Herman!
Jesus fuck.
Or maybe Brad Pitt. You can't go wrong with Brad Pitt.
"You really can't go wrong with Brad Pitt."
You can't go wrong with Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman or Brad Pitt, I
Pee
don't
Wee
know.
Herman, what a crazy, Pee Wee Herman or Brad Pitt?
Depends on who's directing it.
I don't know, maybe the recliner or whatever. Is there some sort of postman?
So,
What the fuck?
Everybody involved. Even the lawyers.
So they don't know what, where the Rocketbelt is still, right? And Michael Von Blon said, "One man is dead, one man is in prison. Whether or not he is guilty, I don't know. And the other man, who has never done anything right in any of the chapters of this story, is running free."
I mean, that's
Doug Malowicki, who worked with all three of them, said Larry Stanley let his hate for Barker get the better of him, and he ended up with an 8-year prison term. He should have just let it go and got on with his life. Too bad.
Yep, pretty good.
Maurice Heimlich said, "I will remember Joe for the rest of my life. He was a wonderful person. He would do anything to help people out that he knew and cared for. We were great friends, and I still can't believe he's gone."
Yeah, it does seem like Joe Wright. That's the
tragedy.
Yeah, really.
They said, Nancy said, "There was nothing left in Joe's estate. He had lost everything. The bank took his house and his car, and they never went after Brad. He's hard to track down, and he's never had a real address or a job. I think that's part of the reason Larry had him kidnapped. Larry had tried to go after Brad legally and won, but nothing happened, so he took matters into his own hands." Bill Suter, they finally went to and said,
I got it.
Yeah, he's working on a car in
Bill Suter
Youngstown.
said, "Joe Wright was one of the kindest, most generous people I ever knew. I cannot think of one bad thing to say about him, nor one good thing to say about Brad Parker. As for Larry Stanley, what a loser. Parker and Stanley were obsessed and blinded by the notion they were both going to learn how to fly and become rich and famous. And that's all they cared about, being rich and famous. So much so that now Joe is dead, and none of them is rich or famous. If anything, they're infamous. As for me, It was the dumbest thing I ever got involved in. The dumbest. I do not normally grant interviews on the subject, and now that will be all I will ever tell you about that sad chapter.
Oh, yeah.
I am the Rocket Man.
Yeah, no, come on. Just fixing cars over here. Come on, these fools.
Yeah, so now the only person in the game really is Kenny Gibson with Powerhouse.
I'm sorry, was that a band or a competitive wrestling team?
That is the, yeah.
Bring your A-game to Powerhouse Friday night in Flint. Me and RB 2000. Wipe the mat with you.
But that was, that was where they left it.
Kenny Gibson in Powerhouse.
I cannot believe, I mean, like, the thing that shocked me was, I guess, that Brad Barker never did really get in trouble. And,
did he kill Joe?
I don't know.
What
do you think?
I don't even think that anymore. I thought he did, but I don't even think that anymore.
I mean, somebody killed him.
Well,
and the rage is documented.
Yeah.
From multiple angles.
Mm-hmm.
And the stalking and the peeking, the hiding behind stuff.
Pictures, if you don't mind.
Yeah, they don't have.
That's Brad.
That's Brad.
Mm-hmm.
That's Joe, my brother, down there on the bottom.
Yeah, the dead one.
The dead guy.
Posing in their RB.
Yeah.
The RB.
Brad looks like
yeah,
he could do it.
So you can probably tell because of the enormous amounts of quotes from Brad. He is the one that participated in the book.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stink on him, let's be real. So it's pretty cool that he participated in it. Larry Stanley, incarcerated, nothing to do, doesn't cooperate.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more to hide there.
Or maybe he's just more chagrined and he doesn't want anything to do with it anymore.
Well,
he's done chasing it. Look,
yeah.
all I know is what I learned playing the character.
But yeah, boys, it's I think what's really crazy here is okay, like, well, I know that we're all on one page, which is what are you fighting over? The dumbest thing of all time.
Yes.
But also the levels of malignant hatred against each other here are almost like inhuman.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Bill has it right with Barker and Larry are losers.
Straight scumbags.
And have no other things going on in their lives.
They can't even fly the fucking thing.
No, but it is the only thing they go, we're like, we can make millions.
Yeah, and I think part of it is also this thing, too, of guys that don't want to have jobs and get rich quick schemes.
Yeah. And even though all it did was bankrupt them over a long term. They didn't get rich quick. They got poor slowly.
Yes. And I think part of that, too, is also the thing of, like, do I think any one of them was showing up like Joe Wright and working at that?
Nope.
No.
I do believe they were bouncing checks and ripping off each other for money.
Yes.
That I believe.
And there's those two guys met on an open field of battle and had the dumbest battle.
And
you can imagine.
it's always guys that believe they're in the right and they're owed something.
Yeah.
That's everybody's story in this.
Yeah.
There's nobody that goes like, actually, that was unfair, and only Joe Wright.
Yeah.
Only Joe Wright.
Yeah. And look where it got him.
Yeah. Only Joe is right. It's fucking nuts, you know? And I mean, it's never been improved upon. You know, some speeds, they've said they've got one up that can go like 9 minutes or whatever. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, what are you going to do with it? How is this applicable to just any sort of relevant life?
It's, they do leave after the thing where they talk about like the companies in the book.
It's basically a unicycle.
Yeah. Yes. That's
It's a high-tech unicycle that's good for nothing.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
So the Rocket Man, the only guy I like in this story, basically, aside from Joe Wright, is Bill Suter. And Bill Suter says he was relieved they never took off.
Ah.
Hey.
And he goes, I hope they never become commonplace. Nobody would be safe. One collision over the neighborhood and down your chimney, they would come like an unwelcome Santa Claus. Then there's the question of telephone and power wires. I know firsthand how dangerous wires are. You just can't see the things. I had several close calls and almost sliced myself up like a big ripe brick of dirty, stinky cheese.
What an idiot. I mean, it'd be a lot better if it was maybe something in the shape of some sort of can. Now that's an idea.
And he ultimately said of the Rocketbelt, if it was commonplace, he goes, can you imagine every moron who could afford one zooming all over the sky with a Rocketbelt?
Yes.
God help us.
Thank you, Bill. This is a man with some common sense.
Dude.
The fuck?
What the fuck is going on with these people?
I wonder now if he said...
Kidnapping a man?
I wonder now, is his name Pretty Birdie? Was that kind of ironic? Because he was like, this looks
This
like
thing's
shit.
an ugly piece of shit that can't fly.
Yeah.
Well, he was like, it's the only thing to say about it.
Yeah.
He's like, he's flown better once.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's, it's like a guy going, these goons, and he's like, I don't want to be mean or anything.
Yeah, pretty bird.
Yeah, it's a real pretty bird you got here. Yeah. Just because he seems to have a pretty good understanding of idiots.
Also, the design is cool.
The design is cool, and now it makes sense why he would want Pee Wee Herman to do it, because Pee Wee went to extraordinary lengths
the bike!
to get the bike.
Yeah.
Yes. And the bike does a lot.
Yeah, and the bike was called. God, what was the bike when they?
Oh my God, that's what he's thinking of.
Yes.
He's thinking he's Pee Wee.
Yes.
In the Big Adventure.
Yeah.
But mine, he gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
There's no large Mars.
No.
What?
That's
Dude,
awesome.
that's fucking crazy.
Maybe he saw that recently. He saw it and he's like, oh,
What
yeah.
do they call the bike in the movie?
We took pictures with it.
Right, but like yeah, we did. They called.
Well, that's not what it's
it
called.
was something like the RB2000.
No.
Yes, when James Brolin is with Morgan Fairchild in the Pee Wee movie in Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Uh-huh.
It's the are you looking it up?
Yeah.
It's something like
The Pee Wee 2000?
It's like the PW 2000 needs to cool down. Remember that?
Well, they're saying it's a Schwinn DX Cruise.
Yeah. But we know it. At the end of the movie, when they're watching Pee Wee's movie in the drive-in, and it's like, it's okay. We gotta have the thing has to cool down, and it's something like the RB2000.
Really?
Yes.
So he was Pee Wee.
Yeah, except he thought he was James Brolin too.
We've all had that.
You
problem.
got to pull that one up because I don't know the exact phrasing.
We've all had that
But-
problem. Yeah, this is.
What did you think about Larry Stanley and your other guy, Wenzel? Wenzel, I cannot believe is a guy that was like, I will.
Wenzel's a guy who said, "Film me crashing a plane for my reel." Or what?
It's also like just right after the fucking the Robert Blake thing. It's like, man, a Hollywood stuntman will do anything.
Well, I mean,
Oh, you want me to kidnap a guy?
to be a Hollywood stuntman, what does it require?
I mean, I think these guys just.
I mean, maybe back. I mean, no offense to Hollywood stuntmen. I'm sure the really good ones, obviously, are not fucking idiots. This is a guy who's like, I've pulled a gun on a lot of people.
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking goon.
Yeah. Ugh.
And he's going, what's he gonna do with a rocket belt? He doesn't know where he gets the fuel from. He doesn't know how to turn it on. He doesn't know how to fly the fucking thing. He's gonna go, what's a rocket belt? And then money or something.
Yeah. I mean, Larry must have promised him money up front.
Yeah. Larry probably.
Which again is Larry just like funneling more money into the rocket belt.
Yeah.
When you go like, how much money have you put into it? It flew one time for $10,000.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah. But. Yeah. Larry's out of money, and all these guys are desperate, and they need something, and they have they're not going to take a job.
The
Yeah.
X1.
Yeah, X1.
The X1 needs to cool down.
No, everybody.
Which is the name of the first supersonic aircraft that Chuck Yeager flew in the first part of this podcast.
What have I been saying this whole time?
Mm.
Hello.
Wow.
Hi.
Full circle? Wow.
The loop.
You really tied it
Close
together.
the loop. That's it, boys.
Fantastic.
Aaron, what do you think about these characters? What do you think about these guys? Are they good guys?
The guys, as far as I know,
Guys.
they are guys.
Yeah, you don't
Not
hear,
good guys.
You do not hear a lot of like where is Larry Stanley's wife?
And his kids.
Bringing him back, being like, hold on, let's stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stop
where's? You know what? I think this can all be blamed on the wives. The fact that they weren't there, why weren't they calming these idiots down?
Yeah.
How can we blame this on women?
You could stop this.
Yeah. I'm glad I turned over here.
This was fucking bonkers.
It was crazy, right?
Over the most idiotic.
Yeah. I was very glad that Max just knew sending it to me would be like, oh yeah, that's such a profile.
Yeah, it's
like,
right up there.
What the fuck are these assholes doing?
Yeah, it's like it's a ShamWow. It's.
They put a guy in a box over a fucking rocket belt that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And even if it did, who cares?
Right.
And then they're not gonna fucking fly it.
They can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's still a lot of misfires and things get busted. It's not great.
Well, because Larry and Barker, do either of them still have access to the fuel either? Is there any way for them to use it, or they're just going to talk to other people and get money and then do what with it?
I don't know, but this Barker guy said it was quite the ordeal, when it sounds like it was.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I killed the guy over there.
Yeah. I shat in a box for 3 days.
Ugh.
I mean, if you go later, you go what happened with you and your? I heard you built a rocket belt once, and you go my partner beat me with a hammer, so I kidnapped him. And you go
Well, I kidnapped him because he killed our friend.
and then you go well, the belt must work really well to go to all that trouble, and you go
No, that's the thing.
No,
It's a work in progress.
not really.
We're still trying to figure out some
Yeah.
details.
It's not really about the rocket.
I don't know what's going on, man, but I was just watching these guys' behavior, every clip of this going, oh my God! What are you out of your fucking skull? Grow up!
Yeah.
Well, that's why, the first
Grow up.
Grow up!
the first generation is going, well, I think we need a little bit more weight. Maybe if we round the edges a little bit. And these guys are going, I don't know, put them in a box.
Yeah, get the stuntman and put him in a box.
Yeah.
And you tell him my name's Jim.
Yeah.
Right before he meets me.
Yeah.
And I'll look on his face, it'll be priceless.
I'll be
Yeah.
like, that's not.
And then Larry just says, where's the rocket belt? Which fucking he asked him 9 days ago.
Over and over.
There's no purpose.
That means he had at least 9 days to think of something to say.
Get an officer of the state in here to document this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get a legal.
He
They
got
had a notary
yeah.
at the presence of a kidnapping.
And then they immediately showed the co-conspirator like it was a prize.
Yeah.
At the end, this is after a day where he says, "I'm going to drown you," and he goes, "Please just let me pray and then shoot me in the head." And he goes,
All right.
"All right." Then he finishes praying and he doesn't get a bullet in the head. And then they go "All right, well, we're gonna. What if you saw Larry Stanley?" He goes, "I thought I was gonna be dead. You think that's gonna make me start talking?"
Yeah. I'm already
I was
dead.
going to die for this.
Yeah. Now I'm not dead.
And also, what are you dying for?
Yes, also right. Yeah. Just give him the
A
fucking
heavy backpack.
that will shoot steam wherever you go.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
And by the way, you're not going anywhere.
No.
It's fucking wild.
It's so stupid.
Is he also this crazy about the fucking barrel?
Yeah.
The flying can? Where he's like,
I moved on from the belt, man.
The can man.
Well,
Great
that's it,
story,
fellas.
man. Great story.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was a fun time. Sorry, Joe couldn't be back.
It's okay.
Thank you, Max, for sending it. That was very sweet.
Yes, very.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, boys, for reading your parts so well.
Oh, wow.
It was
Yeah,
great.
thanks for giving us parts.
Yes,
Yeah,
you guys are fucking compelling.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
the award season.
What?
Are they gonna make a stupid movie out of this or anything?
Yeah, how can they not?
So, do you know who's in a movie called Pretty Bird? Is Paul Giamatti and Billy Crudup,
Really?
Kristen Wiig, I believe.
Is it about this?
Yes.
No way.
Yes, I think it has 20% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's more than it deserves, probably, but I will watch
Wait,
it.
they already made it and it sucks?
Man. I mean, yeah, they said it's regrettable.
Well, so is the whole fucking ordeal.
That's the best part.
I also-
is that anything is
It has to be
Like,
regrettable.
the names are changed dramatically, so I have to watch it to discern who plays who.
Well, the guy who dies by getting bludgeoned to death is probably Joe Wright.
Well, if I'm going to pick somebody on the back of this,
Uh-huh.
I think Paul Giamatti has got to be the guy getting his head fucking
Yeah,
kicked.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Billy might be
Joe
or Bad Boy
or
Brad.
Yeah.
Bad Boy.
Oh, I gotta watch this movie.
Why is he calling me Bad Boy?
It's Kristen
What
Wiig.
the fuck is that?
That's amazing.
We still didn't find that out, by the way.
There's no answer. You know the answer.
Boy.
Yeah,
Bad
it has
Boy.
to be a movie like, you know, with the tragedy and the ridiculous of it. It has to be kind of like, was it American Ultra, where the guy did we did a profile?
or 30 Minutes or less.
30 Minutes or Less. That's what it is. It's 30 Minutes or Less, and they had the guy who played Zuckerberg.
Did we do that one?
Yeah.
On a profile?
I'm sure we did a profile, and we certainly talked about it.
Probably on Patreon, but
We've definitely talked about it, where they put a fucking,
I don't think
explosive device around the guy's neck and made him rob.
I do not think we did a full profile.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
Otherwise, we would know the guy's name.
Yeah. But man, they already made a movie and it's no good. It seems
Yes, Pretty Bird, folks. Perfect. Only
a
available.
good title.
I mean, it's crazy, dude. I buy it.
I'll watch it.
I will watch it. It's only available for rent.
Yeah,
but
they don't want to sell it to you. You don't want it.
No. I mean, they'll sell it to you.
Much
but,
like a jet belt.
But I was like, it's got to be on Tubi if it's this bad.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You got to buy that. You got to buy Pretty Bird.
Dude, Paul Giamatti and Kristen Wiig? There's got to be something funny in it.
Do you think Barker and Stanley are also like, I don't get anything out of that Pretty Bird movie?
Yeah, what the hell?
They probably don't.
I was engaged in primitive combat. I was chaining guys up and busting down doors.
I was in a fucking box for a week and a half.
Yeah.
Somebody died. Nobody knows who did it.
Don't look at me.
Scott Joe, good guy.
Pretty Bird. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. Also,
Nice.
how about that sheriff's department? Boy, did they come out looking good.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. I mean, I feel like Harris. That's not the first time I've heard the name Harris Police Department for fucking something up. It just seems like there's probably a lot.
But
of
there
it.
is a lot of fucking shit that's so idiotic that, like, I imagine, like, Quantico, where they go, like, oh, yeah, the do's and days in police.
Yeah.
What did they do now? And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, the guy got all the DNA all over his lunch or whatever. You're like, you guys are fucking retards. You know what I mean? Like, these guys should be fucking. You know what I mean? Like hearing about like local municipal police forces from like
Just doing the
and you're
shittiest
just like,
job
come
possible.
on.
No, just doing the shittiest job possible, being corrupt, whatever. It's
The whole thing was just a sting op by the FBI to nail the Harris County Sheriff's Department.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I think we should wrap it there.
We should.
Let's do that.
Folks, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to say goodnight. My name is John Fahey.
Good night. I'm Pretty Bird Aaron Pita.
Matt Russo.
Your bad boy, Matt Brousseau.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Good night. Pretty Bird.